Fantastic. We're looking forward to that. Thanks, Ross Stone. Stone Brothers Racing and his man, Shane Van Gisbergen, SP Tools Racing. There he is, front row of the grid with Garth Tander. And that's going to be something to look forward to. Great performance of the Kiwi here in New Zealand. Looking further afield, David Reynolds and Jamie Whincup, and then it's Steve Owen and Will Davison. Great performance in qualifying for VIP Pet Foods for Steve Owen. Further back, Stephen Johnson, Craig Lowndes. What a difficult run it was for him in the shootout. You've got James Moffat and Mark Winterbottom. They blotted the copybook by just getting it slightly wrong in the turn 4 chicane. That hurt.
Lee Holdsworth and Tony D'Alberto. Then Jonathan Webb, Techno Autosports, and Rick Kelly. So there's a good row to watch. Positions 13 and 14, and there's 15 and 16. Another Kiwi and Fabian Coulthard. James Courtney and Michael Caruso make up 17 and 18. Greg Murphy back after missing Tasmania because of back surgery. He's alongside Tim Slade, Todd Kelly and Michael Patrizzi, 21 and 22. Alexander Prema had a slide in practice yesterday. Dean Fiore from Jim Beam Racing. And there's Carl Reindler and Taz Douglas, the I-Select Commodore. And the rear of the field made up by Jason Bright and David Wall. Congratulations to Brighty too, announced during the week. He's going to be a dad for the first time.
Plenty of onboard camera coverage for you again this weekend. We're riding here with the reigning champion, Jamie Whincup. And Mark Larkin made reference just a few moments ago to strategy and the way everybody plays this game today, having to use both the hard and the soft Dunlop tyre. The hard tyre has the yellow Dunlop logo on the side of it. The soft tyre's got the white logo. We're on board now with Mark Winterbottom. And I can report to you that all 28 cars in the field at the moment are going to start this race, as Mark suggested, on the hard tyre. Now, this fellow was on the radio just a few ticks ago, Greg Murphy, Pepsi Max crew, and he's talking about an oil pressure warning on that car. You can see the dash illuminated there just in front of Greg at the moment, so we'll monitor that. We'll see what's going on. Remember that they had to do a lot of work on that car yesterday after tagging the inside wall at turn 8, the final corner. This is Jonathan Webb, Techno Autosports. What a roller coaster ride to the start of the championship for him this year. Getting tangled with Greg Murphy in Adelaide. Very fast car. Michael Caruso's got great history on the streets of New Zealand. This is a place where he really rocks and rolls. He likes the place, he does well. He's down the order slightly. And here's Russell Ingles, Super Cheap Auto Racing. Still adjusting for me to the new helmet colours for Rusty for 2012.
And Greg Murphy to the garage.
Russell's 480th race, and top of screen, top left, the green Pepsi Max Commodore comes in, as Scafey just mentioned. So troubles at the start already for Murph. And there's James Moffat starting inside the top 10.
They had a lot of components off the front of that car for Greg Murphy yesterday to try and affect the rebuild, so perhaps it's related to that, given the incredible cost of the engines in these cars at north of $100,000 per power plant. Then you don't want to risk losing an engine. They'll have to come in and deal with it. Downhill start makes it tricky to get these cars away cleanly. They'll all be against their handbrakes.
Staggered start to Garth Tander from pole position. Shane Van Gisbergen on the left of our screen pushes and pushes. He's going to push all the way to turn 1. The Kiwi has to lock it up. There's contact at the first turn.
That was very messy. And have a look at Davison up the inside.
And David Reynolds gets the jump, so Reynolds takes the lead to turn 2.
There's a huge amount of push and shove. Oh, David can't pull it up at turn 2. He's going to lose the spot here. Tander's sliding as well. And up and surfing over the curb with Stephen Johnson. Tander in the lead. Davison pops to second. Reynolds back to third. The Giz has dropped back 4 or 5 spots. He's getting his ears boxed at the moment.
Van Gisbergen got a pretty healthy whack on the way up to turn 3. So Tander gets the lead back. They try and sort this out. The run into turn 4 where the curbs are. Watch them hop and lift and dart.
Lee Holdsworth completely missing the chicane. So far there's been about half a dozen drivers that have transgressed this opening lap that had to leap over the curbs. Tander's got a tiny margin when it all settles down. This is high heart rate stuff.
Davison, the big winner. He's gone from 6th up to 2nd.
Are you going to stay out, mate? Are you going to stay out?
Ross and Jimmy Stone trying to work out whether Shane Van Gisbergen will stick, and he will.
Make sure the steering wheel's straight when you get a chance.
It's Dave Stewart on the radio in discussion with Shane Van Gisbergen, who's struggling. He's copped a whack, it's bent the steering. He needs to now make a calm assessment of what he's got. more important to just stay there and get points than it is if you come in. You basically put yourself at the back of the pack. Look at this, down the inside. Mark Winterbottom on Steve Owen. Gets it done. There was actually a little bit of rubbing, it seemed, between Steve Owen and James Moffat, about a third of a lap back. Here comes Stephen Johnson as well. 3 of the DJR-based cars are all locked together.
That was a bad mistake of Dave Reynolds. Bad mistake in the lead.
Yeah, very awkward for him. Mark's referring to turn 2. He couldn't get it stopped down there, locked the rear brakes. I mean, everybody's got stone-cold tyres, but they're trying to press on with it. That all happened down at turn 1 as well for a bunch of them.
Now it's a little bit better behaved through turn 4 as they go single file.
And we've got the reason I paused there was just listening to race director Tim Schenken, because we've got a penalty levied against Jonathan Webb for a false start. So when he comes in, have a look at this start and replay again now. Watch what happens, because Gizzy can't stop. Davey gets stuck into the side of Garth. They're all pushing Shane, who runs wide, and it's chaos back in the pack as well. Let's go on board with Davey Reynolds. Watch this. It's going to be all push-shove. Gizzy made a huge start, but he's on the dirty side of the road, and then whack, he gets a massive punt from David, displaces him, and then David himself down here in turn 2 can't pull it up. Here it is from the other angle. Now look at that, no wonder the steering's bent on Shane's car. That was out of turn 2 on the run into this little bus stop area at 3. Still looking at the replay here. This is all the stuff that went on through the chicane on the first lap. That's Lee Holdsworth in the Irwin entry, and that's a furrowed brow of Ross Stone watching, because his man's down in 17th, having started on the front row of the grid, and they will not be happy with that. Well, and Shane saying it won't turn left. I'm surprised it turns at all, given how firmly he whacked the wall. Bird's eye view of all of the action, and it's wild around this place, and also loose bodywork report at the moment for Mark Winterbottom, car number 5, so race control is watching that one carefully. Davison's ranging up onto his old teammate here, Garth Tander, and here's the Murphy-mobile. They're taking remedial action under the bonnet with that thing. They had an oil pressure warning before the start of the race on the warm-up lap.
Looking back from David Reynolds' car to Jamie Whincup. So that's 3rd, looking back to 4th. You're right about Davison. He's climbing over the back of Tander now. And Tander lucky to get away from that first lap incident without any damage. It doesn't appear to have upset the car too much, but he knows that Davison is hounding him, and likewise Whincup on Reynolds.
So just going back again, Jonathan Webb, false start for car 19, and how they deal with that penalty is when he comes in for his first stop, it's a stop and hold. So he's got to take a further 10 seconds stationary when he comes in at his first pit stop. So they don't take him off the road right now. It's a better way of dealing with that penalty.
Let's see if Reynolds can keep his head down here. This is going to be a crucial test for him this stage of the race. He's got to get back into the groove. He's got Whincup on his tail. And Winterbottom continues to post fast times. He's just done the fastest lap and the fastest first sector. He's got some clean air there in 5th spot. Back through the field, there's Webb. Behind him, Van Gisbergen, 17th position after starting 2nd. Damage on the front right of Tim Slade, the lucky 7 racer.
They'll have to bring that in, because that'll come under the attention of the race director, who won't cope with that amount of damage and the possibility of stuff falling off it. So difficult start for Stone Brothers here. In the early moments of the race, Van Gisbergen pushed hard into turn 1. He was on the dirty side of the racetrack. He copped a whack. Now another car from that stable, Tim Slade's got some front mudguard damage. Now Reynolds is recovering nicely. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. There he is in the background in the green car, and he's gone 2/10 quicker than these two in front on that last lap.
Let's check in with Ross Stone. It was all happening for Stone Brothers Racing, not in the way that they would want it to. Ross, what did you make of that, especially...
Mechanical black flag, car 47.
Sorry, mate, that was Tim Schenken just giving Tim Slade a mechanical black flag. So what did you make of that turn 1 mess down there?
Well, obviously Shane got a really good start, and then Tander was trying to squeeze him, and then David Reynolds just got a bit mixed up there, I think, and just really pushed him on his way. And a sort of a bit of a waste, really, because at the moment steering's gone pear-shaped. We just decided to do 2 laps, see what sort of pace he's got, and make sure there's no vibrations, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so have you got any tricks you can play to try and leapfrog him up the field, assuming the car's all right?
Well, you know, the best strategy in any race is good race speed, so we'll just see what we've got, and we'll go from there. But just see how it pans out on fuel and tyres and stuff. And too early to make a call, really, other than just getting stuck in.
Hard old game, isn't it, Ross? It's Neil here. I mean, things can change so quickly. You start on the front row and he's got pace. That's heartening, but it's really a question of trying to salvage from here.
Yeah, well, at the moment he's running around. He's a fair bit quicker than the guys he's around. So I'd say the pace is all right, even though the steering's a bit bent. So knowing Shane, he'll just get his head down. He hasn't said too much, and as I said, we'll knock some laps off and decide what we're going to do. Righto,
Ross, I know you're busy. Thanks for the chat. Tim Slade's in your lucky 7 entry because the front right guard's been plucked off that car, so that'll need your attention. Thank you.
And Craig Lowndes in as well.
There's a lot of oil soak and cement dust out there to pick up what's been a lot of rubbish left on the racetrack.
When it gets over into the pit lane itself where the concrete is, that's when it becomes a real problem.
Frank Adamson then just leaning in. He was from V8 Supercars, just gesturing that he wanted more tape.
Mark Winterbottom's a very fast man at the moment. Will Davison, his teammate, is in second, the leader of the race. After a pretty vibrant start to this one is Garth Tander. Our pole sitter holds on to the lead. Take a break, bring you back to the ITM 400 here at Hamilton.
Going a bit slower through the chicane than everyone else, so go a little bit harder, but look after the car. Go. Clear track. Okay. Good job, mate. You keep trucking along. How's the balance?
Seven completed laps so far. This Saturday race day on 7 live V8 Supercars. Hope you're enjoying it because we've got a great battle at the front. Garth Tander has a bit of a handful of car 2 at the moment, and Will Davison is waiting to pounce. In the course of this last lap, while we're in the break, down to turn 1, Tander really had to hold on. He almost lost it. And Will's just playing a waiting game. Reynolds, by the way, in 3rd position, is catching up as well.
The reason that Garth is just battling a bit there at the moment, the car's not quite as good as Will's. And what he finds himself having to do at the moment is hustle the car outside of its ideal performance window.
So Whincup comes in and Winterbottom follows him. And that's a good run by Mark Winterbottom because he's managed to make up the ground when he needed to on the way, last few laps, into pit lane. He put about 3 fastest laps back to back to back, and that's the reason why he can come into pit lane level pegging with Jamie Whincup. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Craig Lowndes, 123.36.
He's going to jump in.
He's going to jump in.
He stalled it. Jamie Whincup stalled it.
There we go. All clear, all clear, all clear.
So he lost that one spot that we can see at this point. There might be more when it materialises on the track, but that was costly then for Whincup. There goes his teammate Lowndes, who's actually flying at the moment. He did the fastest lap of the race a few moments ago.
Pit lane cost him last year as well.
Here it is, tightening again at the top here. Also, just an apology on behalf of my colleague. Mark Scope's a bit crook at the moment. He's got the pit lane speed limiter jammed on his throat, so he's stuck at 40 Ks. We're doing 300. We'll give him a rest tonight and try and get him up straight again tomorrow.
Heaven, isn't it?
Leaders are in. So here comes Tander, followed by Will Davison.
Into the pit with that guy's waving in, Wilson security, then through into our box.
And Davey Reynolds runs with them. So they're nose to tail, and this is Reynolds recovering a little bit, and he'll be kicking himself because he didn't need to get involved in what happened at turn 1 on lap 1. He certainly didn't need the mistake down at turn 2, or he would have been the bloke at the head of this queue. And he knows that. Now he's got to concentrate on a recovery, and that's what he's doing. Out comes Will, good job. But in behind Tander, Reynolds has lost ground, big ground. All that work that he did in the last 3 or 4 laps has been unravelled. And there goes Frosty, who's jumped him into turn 1. So look for the 5 car, there he is. So he's made a material gain on these guys, and we're waiting for Reynolds to appear. He could get grabbed by one of the Vodafone cars here. Couldn't, I was craning, but I couldn't see. There we are. And he will get done down here on the inside by Lowndes, no doubt.
So that's a 2-spot loss in the course of that stop for David Reynolds. And a great gain for Mark Winterbottom.
So we saw the video evidence there. It's stationary time then for David Reynolds. He got in all right. His preceding in-lap was great. He was on their bumper, but he lost all that stationary.
Winterbottom's going on with it too. Fastest time to the first sector. So now Reynolds finds himself behind Lowndes, in front of Whincup. David Wall touches the wall.
So easily done on these circuits because David would only need to be a couple of millimetres off the perfect race line. The minute he's in that dusty, marbly stuff out there, Matt, he's a goner.
So Rick Kelly, James Courtney, Shane van Gisbergen, Dean Fiore come in. Alex Premer is there.
Your observation about the speed of Winterbottom's a good one because he's just done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:23.1. Now, they'll do tyres, obviously, and fuel, but they have a look under this car. See, they put the incompressible stands in there. Now they're checking to see what the story is with that steering arm. They need to make sure it's safe. So no rectification.
Okay, go. Just watch fuel get out there. That's it. Good work.
That was close. He missed the back of that guy by a fraction.
Comes out in front of Carl Reindler.
Now, the other reason why the Stone Brothers have brought Shane in right now, remember Mark Larkham's graph beginning of the telecast explaining strategy? Look how close this is to the right-hand rear corner of that bloke's ankles. The back of the 11 car. Where was I? I was talking about the strategy. So these guys, Stone Brothers and the cars that we just saw there a moment ago, they've come in at a more natural moment where they don't have to rely on a safety car. All those that have pitted early are taking a gamble against there being a safety car intervention in order to get them off the hook because they, at this stage of the game, are a bit out of phase with their fuelling. It's a fascinating contest. Patrizzi's the leader.
Same thing about your bars, just drive that number. Reynolds has got more pace. I'll actually hold him up, but do what we can.
Welcome back. Jason Bright leads the race, and David Reynolds gets the job done on Craig Lowndes, but he'll go wide at turn 5, over the curb, onto the marbles, and now Lowndes and Whincup will get past Reynolds.
And now Davey will try and get it all tidied up in the end by going underneath Craig Lowndes, but that was messy. I've very rarely seen any moves put together nicely up at 5, so David had to go in there so quick and so shallow, he couldn't get around the corner without ending up on the wrong side of the curb, and that's what happened. So it took a long time for it to fully play out. Now they've been reshuffled.
So Bright is the leader. He will have to pit sooner or later. Garth Tander is your effective race leader. Will Davison's behind him. Then Mark Winterbottom, then this group.
Now, the man that we're looking at here, Craig Lowndes, having come in so early because of the way things unfolded early in the race, and to keep him away from his teammates so they didn't deal with that ever-present threat of having to stack in the pit lane. He's well and truly out of phase at the moment. Actually, the front of that car's pattering on the road, isn't it? So with all that push and shove, just to change subjects for a moment, watch under brakes, because Van Gisbergen's car, it's got a fluttering front splitter. Just watch it here, there, on the front left-hand corner. The mounting's obviously broken. That'll affect its braking performance. You have to be careful, and Shane will feel the vibration back through the steering wheel of the car at the moment, but it doesn't actually pull the under tray out of it.
So he's rejoined the race after that pit stop in 19th. We've got access to all areas to Ross Stone today. Oh, boy, what an adventure you've had so far, mate. Just run us through that pit stop, first of all, because it was as close as you want to get, Ross.
Yeah, it was, but we had to make sure the thing's going to be okay. It's got a bent steering arm, and Shane's biggest problem is actually pulls on brakes, as well as the steering's, you know, not straight. So we had to make sure it was safe. Had a quick look, got him underway. He's actually got reasonable speed, not the speed of the leaders, but we can hang in there and pick up some points and keep fighting all day long, as Shane will.
Ross, we just had some images in this last lap of on the front left-hand corner of the car, the splitters flapping, so a little bit of the mounting must have broken on the left-hand side of the bumper. So that's another thing that you're going to have to manage now to the end of the race, because the last thing you want is for the apron or the bottom of the thing to come out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised the splitter's broken. The way he rode up over that other car, obviously on the way through, the splitter would have got the damage then, I would suggest. So we'll just keep an eye on it, but it's mounted pretty well, and it's strong underneath where most of the work gets done on those bars. So we'll just see how it goes, but I'm sure it'll be all right.
And it was a bit of a tough run also for Tim Slade, because as we were talking to you last time, you had to bring him in and deal with the front right-hand mudguard.
Yeah, and he's dropped down that lap, but he should pick it up if things go his way with pace cars and etc. etc. So once again, just knock some laps off and see what happens.
Thanks, Ross. Talk to you soon.
Okay, cheers.
Inside the Stone Brothers Racing Garage. Now David Reynolds is bouncing back with good pace. Fastest time to the second sector. Tander is your effective race leader from Will Davison and then Mark Winterbottom. So yet again, the Ford Performance Racing crew are trying to hound down these Holdens. Quick break and then more from Hamilton. There's still a very long way to go in this race, but at this stage, it's developed into a race in two out the front. Tander and Davison. They've dropped Mark Winterbottom some 7 seconds back.
Yeah, I'm just standing down here at the Ford Performance Pit, car 5. Mark Winterbottom's about to come on down here. He's reported a bent steering arm. I can't get any read on what he's hit or where or why. So we'll have a look at what they've got to do here. Now, a couple of other little updates. Greg Murphy, that was an oil pump belt. There's a belt that runs, a tooth belt, if you like, runs your oil pump. That stripped itself at the start of the race. Maybe cold oil, maybe a bit of debris got in there.
Thanks for the update, Mark. And left hand down on the steering wheel for Mark Winterbottom, massive amount. And it's got worse. So they're dealing with that now. And he was quick. So they've got to put him in the garage to resolve this. And I've got a report also that James Moffat's got a problem and could be in the wall. Car 18. We'll monitor that for you. This is the face of Mark Winterbottom, and here's the reason why. It's Tony D'Alberto and James Moffat. Pretty heavy contact for James, and almost grabs Lee Holdsworth in the process.
Yeah, so James has come straight into pit lane. After that, check this out for Garth Tander. 2 up, 2 down.
Big air, big load through the car, and that can result in this sort of stuff here. So it's a bent steering arm for Mark Winterbottom. It's in the garage, and they've also got the Norton car in the garage as well to deal with the damage on the left side of that car. And Van Gisbergen and Lee Holdsworth, and Taz Douglas for that matter, are all on the cusp of being in strife for too many curb hops at turn 4.
And remember, Moffat and Winterbottom were the two guys who got pinged in the shootout for going through turn 4. Now they're both in the garage after 19 laps of this race.
I made the remark a few moments ago about the number of people that sort of gambling on a safety car in at least this first refuelling phase, because there's got to be another one. There's 2 stops in the race to get to the end, but Lowndes came in on lap 5, so he's one of them. And Tim Slade is another. Steve Owens, probably another one you can count in that group.
Neil, if I can just add to that, because it's a really interesting topic, and Lowndes as well. Now, remember we did that little piece recently on V8 Extra talking about them being able to trim the fuel with a little switch on the steering wheel. Well, I've been peering over a few shoulders, and those guys that come in really early are rolling the dice on fuel economy. Now, Craig Lowndes has his on number 4. Now, I can tell you, we know from that that's about 8 to 10% of fuel he's taken out of the car. That's why Davey Reynolds hasn't taken him, because he's cost himself some power. Jamie Whincup's on number 3, I can see, so he's got about 6% of the fuel out of his car. David Reynolds is on 2, so he's taken 2% out. So you can see, there's, as well as gambling on a safety car, they're prepared to roll the dice. And remember, we saw those piston rings melted to the pistons. Well, Jeremy said to me, this might be an expensive strategy.
Yeah, that's right. And you're making reference there to the story you did for us on V8 Extra, just explaining all that fuel trimming and running them lean and sometimes the downside of all that. So thanks for that update. Just going back to that business, there's several guys at the moment out there that are going to have to very carefully manage their hopping across the curb at turn 4. Come back to that in a moment. This is Jason Bright, who was briefly the leader of the race. So he's gone in the opposite direction strategically, basically run it as far as he can go. And those guys that have got to watch their curb management here are Lee Holdsworth, Shane Van Gisbergen and Taz Douglas. They're all on 4 curb hops at the moment. The next one they cop a warning and then get a pit lane penalty if they continue to step over the mark.
6 strikes and you're in. So Will Davison doing a good job, started 6th. Now he's trailing Garth Tander. Go for it, Larko.
Yeah, sorry, matey. Just let you know, Mark Winterbottom's just departed the pit lane as we expected. Steering arm, common injury. They've replaced it. He's on his way.
He's on his way 2 laps adrift from the race leaders. Now, Davison's starting to range up here and look threatening again to Tander. It just sort of eased off there for a while, but now Will's just hunting, looking around left and right, and just confusing the mirrors of the number 2 car. Just trying to get Garth to just blow it slightly, be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He'll move around. He's also getting gulps of fresh air, particularly for the brakes. See how he did a little jink back then? So he's just threatening at the moment, and he knows the game. He's been both the chased and the chaser. He knows the feeling. So for the moment, Garth just a little bit softer in lap speed than Will, and by just positioning that trading post racing car around and then doing something counter to what is predictable is what Davison is trying to do at the moment.
Jamie Whincup's in third, a little bit weighed down. And not only was Will Davison quicker that last time around, but Garth Tander was slowest of the top 4 cars on the previous lap. Facing the sun, difficult part of the circuit. That's where James Moffat went in.
I was about to make that observation that when we get to this point in the afternoon, that run up to turn 6 is really difficult for them up there because of the blazing western sun. Then they go back into the shadows in the mid part of that corner.
James Moffat back in the garage. James, Tony D'Alberto helped you get back here.
Yeah, he did, unfortunately. So I don't know what he was thinking. He tried to pass me into turn 7, which really isn't a passing opportunity. Smacked into the back of it, and it's unfortunately put me in the wall and broken the diff. So feel bad for all my guys. They've been working hard, and you know they've got a bit of work to do tonight. But yeah, I don't know what D'Alberto was thinking. It's a long race, and there's plenty of other good opportunities to pass. So yeah, pretty silly.
All right, back for another crack tomorrow, James.
Yeah, we'll be back. Thanks. Cheers.
Div 4 car 18, the Team Norton car, started inside the top 10. Whincup's done a 1:22.9 to lower the fastest lap time again and head towards that lap record time, which is only about a 1/10 of a second off now. Tander's our race leader. It's a gripping battle at the front between him and Will Davison.
Behind him.
I get the feeling we're heading towards that all or nothing moment for Will Davison to have a crack at Garth Tander. He knows he's got good speed in car 6. Tander's using all his experience and nous to hold back the Trading Post Falcon for the lead for this race. Former teammates having a wonderful duel on the streets of Hamilton. Whincup is in third. He's 3.8 seconds back.
There's a bit going on out there at the moment, not only this battle, but there's a problem with Greg Murphy's car. He's been on the radio reporting something having broken in it. Look at this, Davison's getting closer and closer. And that's the voice of Greg Murphy in the background. And the other thing that's occurred is that Van Gisbergen is now right on the very edge of getting a pit lane drive-through penalty because he's had 5 curb hops, which means he's just been given a warning. Race director has put that out on the race management channel. Bad sportsmanship flag, so it's 5 hops through the back chicane for him. One more of those.
On these tires, mate, 24 total. Keep
One more of those for the Giz, and he'll be touring the pit lane and waving to his friends.
Mentioned that Whincup was 3.6 seconds now back from Will Davison, so 4 seconds back from Garth Tander. But he's in that zone, Jamie Whincup, where he's got nobody around him. He's got no hassles. He's got a nice clean run to string together some fast and consistent laps and drag himself back up on the rear of, well, it might be Will, it might be Garth by the time he gets there. Trading Post team head down, and don't forget the Trading Post Perth Challenge, newly revamped Barbagallo Raceway, May 4 and 6. Tickets on sale now.
Matty, just picking up on your observation here, it's, you know, with Will climbing all over the back of Garth. I mean, we've spoken a lot this weekend, haven't we, about how tough this circuit is, and generally you make an overtaking manoeuvre here when someone makes a mistake, and everyone makes plenty of them. This is going to be tough for Will, because a bloke that hasn't made a lot of mistakes here over this weekend, or historically, is Garth Tander.
But he is making a few at the moment, Larko. We've seen one or two occasions around here where he hasn't quite hit his apexes. He hasn't been able to quite pull it up, and there's that bad sportsmanship flag and car number 9 being displayed on the board there for Shane van Gisbergen. So that's because of the number of curb hops. So they're waiting for him to display that again. And so Garth's right on the very ragged edge with this car at the moment. But it's not an easy thing to do when you've got two very evenly matched cars and drivers to be able to put a move on.
So this is the one that got him number 5. Van Gisbergen goes through there. And that's the one that lands you the warning. Now, down at turn 2, they've been taking a different line since this duel began. Davison's much tighter at the apex, and Garth goes around it a little bit wider. Turn 3, yeah, Will's getting itchy feet.
Garth couldn't get the nose of the car where he wanted it at turn 2, and he also had a problem shifting gear, and he came out of turn 3 a moment ago. So as I said before, he's on the ragged edge at the moment. He's using all of his experience to squeeze and wring this thing, but he's just not quite quick enough to fend off Davison. So Will's just going to keep gnawing away here until the tyre condition goes away a little bit more for Tander, but it's not going to be an easy task. Now, meantime, Murphy has been confirmed as having had a puncture with that car. So he's down in 27th at the moment.
And Neil, as you know, the little strategy going on in this battle, Garth just knows he's got to hang there for another 8 or 9 laps, get to that next pit stop, get him on another set of tyres, and he'll be as good as gold. The balance will go back into the car. Can he hang on? Great little battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a great job if he can.
He's on him. Watch this. This is the best shot he's had. Davison looks. Tander tries to shuffle him over. He's down the dirty side, but he's got it done. He's had to use the traffic island, looking for the crisscross Tander, but he couldn't get it done. Very good move, Will Davison. Excellent job, and he covers.
Down at turn 2. He'll hold it here and make it stick.
Yeah, so as soon as he went past, the minute that he went past, they went, right, start saving fuel. So they've obviously been using fuel in Will's car to help get this job done. Now they've got track position. Here it is again in replay. On the run down towards turn 1. Watch this. Down the inside. Garth shuffles him over. He's allowed to do that. And the job's done. Nice move. Great job by both the boys. Very professional, hard, fast motor racing.
I thought for a split second that Will was going to back out of it there, but then he decided to press on. It was a good move. And the climax to what's been a pretty good battle over the last, let's say, 15 laps that those two have been going at, it, probably more, as leaders of the race.
So now it becomes an interesting battle in terms of how they manage fuel. Well, that's been it's not now, that's been the case for the minute the lights changed colour. But this is going to be interesting for sure, because now Will's got a track position. It's the ultimate position to be in, but he's got to wind out of using that fuel. And he's stopped on lap number 9. Tander also stopped on lap number 9. And HRT heard it, and Alistair McVeigh got straight on the radio to Tander and said, right, they're telling Will to save fuel, so stay on him.
There's Fabian Coulthard, the Lockwood entry, the leading Kiwi in the race. He's in position 12. And in the Lockwood team.
And there's Phil Keed on the left there, in wearing different colours as Greg Murphy comes back in. Still more problems being reported with that car. Been a tough weekend for him so far. Still recovering from that back surgery. He missed the Tassie round. So in the wall yesterday. Back in with a puncture before, but there's some other issue with that car. So they've actually put it in to try and fix whatever the drama is. So I was about to make the remark about Phil Keed at Brad Jones Racing, and he was for many, many years engineer for Jason Bright through a variety of teams. He's now gone to the other side of the garage, and he's looking after Fabian Coulthard, and Andrew Edwards has flipped around and it's gone the other way inside Brad Jones Racing.
Hey, the other little interesting dynamic with Will Davo now saving fuel, that we know from what we've seen on the dyno that those guys are running, say, 1 and 4 on their respective fuel trims. You're talking about, 10 up to 15 horsepower difference in both horsepower and torque. So it's almost becoming this economy race in a weird way, a little bit like a push-to-pass button. Get it done and get back onto lean.
Now, Van Gisbergen's just gone 6 in terms of indiscretions on the turn 4 curbing. That's a pit lane drive-through penalty. And I also hear that there's conjecture at the moment over some damage, which is probably the damage we were looking at earlier on the splitter of that car. So Gizzy's in the wars at the moment. He's in 15th. Will Davison is our race leader. He's got a 1 second margin.
And fuel you as well. Okay mate, the rear wheels are clear, front wheels are just going on now, fuel is done and we're just fixing the splitter. Push it on as hard as you can. Mate, pit lane is clear, pit lane is clear. 4 cold tyres, 4 cold tyres.
Welcome back. You're looking at the high flex forward of Tony D'Alberto in position 9 at the halfway mark, thereabouts of this race. So that black flag remains out for Shane Van Gisbergen, who did come in, but not to complete his pit lane penalty. He's come in to do this, change the front splitter.
And that was what I was talking to Ross Stone about early on, that it was beginning to flap, and then it came to the attention of race control. They had to bring the car in. And now, of course, he's exceeded the number of bunny hops, curb hops over the turn 4 curbing, and the black flag for that. So too many breaches. Now, this guy's good story as well. These guys have secured some great backing that takes them right through to the end of the year now. Team High Flex, Tony D'Alberto Racing. And this is a customer car for Ford Performance Racing. And he's running in 9th placing at the moment. He's behind James Courtney, in front of Stephen Johnson, and looking racing.
There are 3 other guys. So here comes Van Gisbergen now. So this is the penalty drive-through.
The lane's going to be all clear when we drop. Just waiting on fuel now. Just waiting on fuel. All clear still.
Jonathan Webb Alex Premer and Taz Douglas all have 5 strikes next to their name. So they're now in official warning territory.
Guys, Greg Murphy back out on the track. He had the trouble earlier with the puncture. Went back out, found there was still a problem with the front end. He's been back in the crew, been all over the car. Can't find anything wrong with it, so Murph's gone back out to try again.
He's had a few cracks at it, hasn't he, Barretts? It's just gone totally awry. Taz Douglas, as I mentioned, 5 strikes, the I-Select Commodore. He's in position 20. It's just such a difficult stage of the race to try and manage yourself through turn 4, the chicane, when you've got 5 strikes next to you, trying to push on, push further up the field. And that's the slightest error through there will bring you back into pit lane. So he's got a bit of damage on the front there. He does. Bit of a crunch right in the sponsor's sign. So Davison 1.3 seconds at the front over Tander. Whincup is in 3rd. Reynolds 4th. Then Lowndes, Steve-O and Rick Kelly. James Courtney up to 8th after starting 17th. And D'Alberto that we mentioned and Stevie Johnson round out our top 10.
So Whincup is a little bit closer now to the back of Tander, but he stopped a lap earlier than Tander and Will Davison, yes. So that's about 3 litres difference. If you remember Mark Larkin's little report at the top of the show, our averages that we use for the maths around here are around about 3 litres per lap.
Neil, I was just having a chat to Mike Henry, team manager at HRT, just over that race that's going on at the front there. I mean, they're a little more disciplined with their fuel than perhaps Will Davison was, as the guys just, who's this Whincup coming? I know it's Lowndes coming down pit lane. So they're hoping that's going to pay them a dividend at the other end of the race, because it's all going to be about your last fuel stop, when you do it and how much fuel you're going to put in. So if they can stay in contact with him, they're still in half a show, they think.
That's interesting with Lowndes coming in then.
No spinning, sorry. No spinning.
He's got 27 laps out of that load. Came in on lap 5.
No spinning. All wheels are done. Just waiting on the fuel. Pit lane's all good here. You'll be good to go once we drop you. All yours. See you.
And 27 to go.
And that's the reason why. So it's not bad economy here for Lowndes. Still haven't had a safety car intervention, so it's been an interesting one so far. There's been quite a lot of people who've tried to trigger one. It hasn't actually happened.
Had a crack at it. Whincup's come in.
This is fuel to get him home.
Thanks, mate. That's what I was chasing. All right, mate. Got you here. Nice and steady for the boys. Good lead in. No spinning. All wheels are done. Nothing in pit lane, mate. Nothing in pit lane. No spinning. Just waiting on the fuel. You're going to be good to go once you drop here. Okay, away you go.
Good clean getaway this time for Jamie Whincup. That's important. Fuel to the end. He stopped 3 laps later than his teammate Craig Lowndes. He should be fueled to the end of the race. And they might, from this point, still have to be a little bit economical in the way they use their fuel. I don't think they could run full rich all the way to the end from here. But provided they're a bit sensible and they run it a little bit lean or take some fuel-saving measures along the way, they'll probably be okay.
Star's just waiting on fuel. There's 2 cars in the fast lane.
This is Todd Kelly.
Waiting on fuel, 2 cars.
Here's Will Davison, race leader in, followed by Garth Tander and Davey Reynolds. So again, they strategically locked the top 3.
And just 1 lap out of step with Jamie Whincup.
Tony D'Alberto, bad sportsmanship flag for too many hops on the curb at turn 4.
And remember, in the fuel economy game so far this season, Ford Performance Racing have led the way. And Will get out.
Cold tyres, possibly Whincup on exit, but you're probably clear of him. Possible back markers, but they should hit within a lap.
So he gets out ahead of Tander.
See, Davey still lost a lot of ground there, and he's actually, he only just squeaked out, but again, he's lost a lot of ground stationary.
And here comes Whincup, who now puts the pressure on Tander. Side by side with Tander up to turn 2.
And remember, Jamie's got warm tyres. That's a big advantage when it matters most. But Tander's down the inside with track position. He slows the car down. Good job, Garth Tander. Now the crisscross is on. He's doing everything he can in his power to try and hold. It'll be very frustrating for Whincup. He'd probably get him on exit here, Jamie, if he gets a good exit.
They're on cold. Let's try and round them up while they're on cold.
Obvious message there from Dutto.
And Mark Dutton knows better than anyone. Now's the time you've got to get it done, because Garth Tander's not going to give you an even break once the temperature comes up to him to the tyres, and he hasn't been able to get it done.
It's pretty shrewd, pretty cagey stuff then from Tander. He made sure, the best part about what he did then in terms of trying to defend his position was slow it right down to basically walking pace at turn 2. That was the mistake that David Reynolds made right at the beginning of the race on cold tyres. He rushed in there at his normal hot tyre pace and couldn't pull it up. Tander was a bit the wiser, and look what it's done for him. It's given him position and he's hung onto it.
And that's what he did to Davison for so long throughout the earlier parts of this race.
Let's stay with Jamie Whincup here on the exit of turn 1 and lap up a bit of the action around the streets of Hamilton.
He's going to get him again. Oh, contact there at the exit of turn 2. So Tander went wide out to the wall, and he just got him on the rear right-hand side of the car.
No strike from the chicane.
That's strategically important, the message there from Mark Dutton, because he's saying be hungry, use the chicane to your advantage. He didn't actually trigger it then because he's looking for more exit speed. Probably not so much for a pass here at 5, but one that puts Jamie close enough up at 6 and beyond. But funny that I should talk the stocks up of Tander at turn 2. The previous lap, it was on the second lap with a bit more tyre warmth that he couldn't actually get the car stopped. So we've seen Team Vodafone being very clever with this in the past, that they hold in stock, if you like, credits. They did it at the Clipsal event as well, where the curb hops, if you need to use them, given that you get so many cat-like lives, use them at the end of the race when they can't be held against you.
Still no strike.
Well, the thing about that is Garth Tander's got no strikes either. So he can take the same line as Whincup. So this is it.
Watch this.
Oh, okay, so he
Locks her up. Car and a half wide, and only a tiny little touch there on the exit, because Garth then made a much tighter radius of the corner and just made sure. And this time it's Jamie that couldn't stop down at 2. Garth was online. This is a great contest, isn't it, between these guys?
And all this is helping Will Davison, who's 3.19 seconds up the road. Make it 3.3. So he's just taking advantage of the battle. There he is, as our race leader, taking advantage of the battle going on behind him. They didn't trigger it that time either. David Reynolds, correction, with the lights on. Coming up behind Jason Bright, who will still have to stop again. This is a beauty. This one's on all over the place. Davison, our race leader, can he hold on for another race victory this year?
Safety car boards and flag, safety car boards and flag, car stop, run off at turn 1, safety car standby.
Actually, no, back it off, mate, back it off. Everyone's pitted. Start conserving now, Trim 4, start conserving now. Car is on track, safety car is on track. Safety car is in sector 1, there's no threat to the pits. So, field position 4, we'll go blue dial 1, please, mate. Blue dial 1, red 3. Let's just get a little bit of a buffer on the fuel, but that's all good. Great job, mate. Good stint. Oh, mate. Just give me a bit of read on what is going on in this race, please. Who's where? You can see Tander's behind me, but what else? So, super job there. We've got lots of debris at turn 7, lots of debris at turn 7, turn 6.5. Debris on the circuit. Not really sure if I can't help you too much. I believe it's on the main straight, so I think we've got to stay left, stay away from it. Okay, so there'll be 21 laps to go when you get back out there.
Back at the Hamilton 400, and the Nissan safety car is out. This race has been turned on its ear because of Alex Premer, who's gone down the runoff into the wall hard. Pretty big impact too. Triggered a little fire, which the marshals have well and truly put out, so this will explain it. So it's happened before that. Bigger impact before that. And that has evaporated the lead that Will Davison was building at the front, heading out towards 4 seconds or north of 4 seconds. Now with the safety car out and about, that's gone. So let's take you back for the other highlights. And Shane van Gisbergen on the front row of the grid pushed. He probably pushed way too hard in the end, and it cost him dearly. David Reynolds ends up getting caught up in it. Garth Tander goes from first to third by the first turn, but then pops out at turn 2 with the lead of the race. Van Gisbergen, a big whack on the run up towards turn 3. This is all on the first lap, mind you. Lee Holdsworth had to take evasive action at the chicane at turn 4. Craig Lowndes in the mix here with his teammate Jamie Whincup as Reynolds put an almighty move on him on the run into turn 5, but that would cost Reynolds dearly. Cost him 2 spots. Back to turn 4, and look at this for Garth Tander and Will Davison. That's where the strikes would start coming against other guys as Tony D'Alberto in the high flex Ford puts James Moffat into the wall and out of the race. Will Davison was hunting down his former teammate and put a beautiful move on him at turn 1. That's as good as you'll get. Davison takes the race lead. By this stage, Van Gisbergen's on a rescue mission. He copped a pit lane penalty drive-through for 6 strikes at turn 4. He took one opportunity to come in and change the front splitter, and then next lap came in and served his penalty. And then the battle between Tander and Whincup. So it's all been going on. And while the safety car's trundling around, there's no action on track. They're cleaning up Alex Premer's mess. We'll take a break for you.
Okay, mate, just an update. We've got 20 laps to go. We're currently P24. We just need to do the best job we can. You've been doing a good job out there. We've got 3 curb strikes, so let's try and get through till the end of the race there. Just adjust your speed at the chicane. Engine stalled. It just stalled. I was just driving and it stalled.
Trying to restart, please. Trying to restart.
Mate, I'm trying. I'm bloody trying. It's just not starting. It just died on me.
ECU switch down.
Sorry, do what?
ECU switch down. ECU switch down.
I've just done that. It's still not starting. more information. The starter motor is ticking over fine. The engine is just simply not firing. Turn the master switch off. Switch off, and then turn it back on again, and try and start it again. Just turn the master switch off, turn it off, and then turn it back on again, and try and restart the car, making sure the ignition's on. And I've done that.
As always, this Hamilton Street Circuit is throwing up an entirely mixed bag of fortunes. And look at that, Carl Reindler, under safety car conditions, stuck with nowhere to go but assistance from the towies. He got down there to the end of the front straight and stopped dead.
What the officials do and get towed away.
And he was trying to kick it over while we're in the break and just couldn't get anywhere. That's the Frenchman's car of Alex Premat.
They're having trouble getting that back up on the flatbed truck, that car. It's obviously had pretty significant impact with the wall somewhere up around turns 6 and 7. It's ended up down the escape road at 7. It'll be damaged on the right-hand side and the left, it seems. And this is Mark Winterbottom back in the pits again. Remember, he's out of whack with the rest of the field. They had bent steering and it was left-hand steering wheel down.
What about throttle? Has the throttle broken maybe?
Gee, it must be frustrating for these guys to know that they've got really good pace. I mean, he's had great pace throughout every session that we've had here. Didn't have any luck throughout the top 10 shootout. His time rubbed out for going through the curbs at turn 4 and then finds himself in all sorts of trouble throughout the race.
Yeah, Matty, down the garage here. Greg Murphy back in the garage, Murphy, with a front end problem.
Yeah, something's up with the front. Not sure. It's just banging away, and the fact that we're, obviously out of the race anyway, was no point in potentially sticking in the fence. I mean, the car's something's going wrong. I'm not sure what it is.
Most importantly to you, how's the back holding up?
It's the least of my worries at the moment. I think what's more important at the moment is the fact that that's another DNF, and that's pretty much sums it up, I think.
All right, tomorrow, Murph.
There is another day.
See you then.
Cheers.
It's just extraordinary, isn't it? He was the king of Pukekohe. Yes. And he comes here with such great support, obviously, and now this is his 4th DNF.
It's been a very hard road for him here. And, that's a mess. On that subject, yeah, look at that. It's a lot of damage, unfortunately, to the Fujitsu Racing GRM car of Alex Premat. Now, this is going to mean this number of safety car laps that we've done, we're going to be looking at and probably treated to a full fuel, go for it race to the flag at the end. That should be great.
It's on the diagonal bar that goes through the car at the front of the passenger side floor, and it's got a right angle boot on it, and it's got a coil that says positive and negative next to it. See it, I've loosened up and I'm trying my hardest to get there. No problem, Carl. Try and plug the radio for a second, guys. I'm going to be off the air for a second. No problem.
I expected to go right out this lap, mate, so I know it's a difficult position to be in, but be ready for it.
I don't know what's up with it. I really don't. I think I'm clicking the right thing, but I'm not sure. Okay, mate. If you can't find anything, we'll unfortunately call it a day, I think.
Your car lights out, accelerate away from the field, 6 to maintain speed, 6 to maintain speed.
Accelerating away from the field. Car 6, maintain speed.
Just wait for it. Might as well give it a shot, guys. Look down, there's the wiper on the passenger side floor, and it's in front of that, on the diagonal bar that goes through. And it's got positive and negative written on it with a black and a white wire, and it's the big oil lead that looks like a spark plug lead. And it's got a
Alrighty, haven't missed a thing in terms of racing. The Pettis safety car has now left the track, and that means we're ready to restart. Will Davison, Garth Tander, Jamie Whincup, our top three. Then David Reynolds, Craig Lowndes, Rick Kelly is playing a really good game here. He's in 6th spot. Steve Owen, then James Courtney. He's continued to fight his way up through the field after starting in 17th.
James has made 9 spots. Rick Kelly's made 8. Oh, Russell Ingall, side-to-side contact there. That was awkward with Wall. Wall was trying to get out of the way and give everybody their space. How did that happen?
One of the Techno Autosports cars got caught up with Russell. Poor old David Wall. Like you say, I mean, that's the true definition of innocent victim. Back to the racing.
And the racing from here on in should be pretty much at full reach. The thing is, look at the amount of rubber debris off the racing line. You cannot afford, that's just a bizarre shot, isn't it? Looking at those things jump across the curb. They cannot afford to be even a millimetre wide of the ideal line here. They're going to find themselves in trouble. And look at Tander now, threatening on the back of Will Davison up at turn 7.
Garth's been so aggressive today. He's been aggressive when he's chasing and aggressive when he's leading. And he's putting the pressure on Will.
The reason I sucked a bit of air then was that Will Davison had a big understeer through 7.
I reckon Whincup got the wall then slightly. Our miming commentator today, Scafey, saw it as well.
He's doing Marcel Marceau in the commentary box at the moment, Mark Scafey, which is fantastic for his 2-person audience, Matt and Neil, but for the rest of you, it doesn't work. But we'll try and convey as best we can.
I'll tell you what, one thing that Mark did pick up on, and we just mentioned James Courtney. Courtney was 1 second slower than Garth Tander in terms of qualifying, and in the race, he's been faster than GT consistently. So he's really turned it around. So looking out the rear of our race leader and championship leader, Will Davison, back to Tander. They've had an epic duel throughout stages of this race. It's not done yet. Whincup is waiting to pounce. Reynolds has been good all weekend so far, and he hops right over. Lowndes goes with him. Holy Toledo, how do you stay off the wall after doing that? Turn 5.
Michael Patrizzi's had his name added to the list of those that are on the fringe of a pit lane penalty as well for too many curb hops at 4. He's in car number 91 and race control's just advised that one.
Up around this part of the circuit, Croppo, is where Garth really wants to have a look and try to put the pressure back on Will Davison. Into turn 6, he's really confident there. Final turn onto the straight.
So they're all basically tied together on strategy. They're okay for fuel. They've all got good rubber. It's pretty much a shootout to the end now. It's the first to blink, and the heavyweights are at the top of the tree. Can't write Lowndes out of this either. It's not that far from this group.
Turn 2's been difficult for pretty much all of this top 5 group at different stages of the race. So check this out. David Wall here is hanging to the right-hand side. Russell gets pushed across by the clean-skinned Techno Autosports car of Jonathan Webb, who clipped the wall on the exit of turn 1. Oh, David Wall gets a whack for his trouble. What have I done? I'm just, you know, getting out of your way.
Keystone Cops about that one, wasn't there? Now, Whincup's just triggered a warning. He's straight-lined the curb. Lowndes is on his 2nd. So the boys at Team Vodafone are now starting to use up their lives. Will Davison, meantime, fastest man in the first sector. He's already opened up half a second margin. He's trying to press on now. And Delberto's just stepped across the line for 6. And that'll be a pit lane drive-through penalty for Team Highflex.
And that's a pity because he was inside the top 10.
And you can add to that now Taz Douglas as well for I-Select in the Holden Commodore.
So that's the gap. It's half a second, just under. Garth Tander's responded with a fast second sector, but that was the fastest lap of the race posted by Will Davison.
And this is why guys getting too hungry in the second part of the turn 4 chicane, triggering the automated timing line down there. As Mark Larkin showed us at the top of the telecast, the system doesn't lie, so it's a very accurate way of measuring it, where once upon a time it was up to opinion, and that made it very hard both for competitors and also for our volunteer officials. Bad position to be in, have to make those judgment calls. Fastest lap of the race, Davison, 0.7 of a second margin now over Tander. He's having a massive squeeze, trying to just eke out those extra millimetres. David Reynolds been an up and down day for him. He's still battling away here in 4th and having a huge go. Got tangled up in the first turn on the first lap, also tangled up down at turn 2, ran wide. Had a couple of slow stops in the stationary part of the stop. The in-lap's been okay, but hasn't been quick at all in the lane. He's right on the back of Whincup at the moment.
And again, Tander fastest to the second sector.
Yeah, Neil, I tried to get to the bottom of that. What they think it is, he's had 2 slow stops. The first one you saw him stall, and why they're stalling, the second one was slow as well, is they've scuffed up the pit lane down here. Remember how slippery it was last year? Our cameraman Dave got hit and all the rest of it? Well, they've scuffed it up, so it's very hard to drop the cars with the tyre spinning as they used to do. You heard Jamie Whincup's engineer talking to him, no spinning, no spinning. And they're talking about exactly that. You can't just drop the cars, they stall a lot easier, very grippy.
Yeah, good point. Good pick up, Larko. Thanks for the update. Fastest lap of the race, Garth Tander, and Craig Lowndes is now well and truly in this battle. He's ranged right up to the back of Davey Reynolds. So it's Davison, Tander, Whincup, Reynolds, Lowndes, 1 to 5.
Reynolds yet to be on a V8 supercar podium in his career so far. Best race finish, 4th at Abu Dhabi last year. So he's just one dive away, one good clean move away from climbing onto the podium as we zero in on the leading Kiwi of Fabian Coulthard, 10th spot for the Lockwood racer.
For Shane van Gisbergen, after starting on the front row of the grid, buried at the moment in 23rd, having to make that stop to deal with the broken front end and also the pit lane drive-through penalty.
Steve Owen has a look at Rick Kelly. He has to back out of it. He telegraphed it a little bit earlier, but by the time he arrived there at turn 6, he couldn't see a gap enough, and it would have ended in tears. So quick thinking to abort, and Owen stays in 7th spot. Great job from Rick too. Started 14th, up in 6th. He's effectively the best of the rest because our top 5 are peeling away. Victory here last year for Rick. Corresponding race day Saturday. And this is Tony D'Alberto, the high flex forward, serving his penalty. That's a killer, that one. That takes him from top 10 to 20th, and Taz Douglas does the drive of shame with him.
And the damage on the snout of the Botlow car all happened in turn 1 on the first lap. There it is.
Isn't that shot, sorry, but that shot through that chicane, it's got to be one of the best shots in Australian motorsport. But listen, I've just got a text from Tony, Mark Skate's wife, saying, can you send home with him the ingredients? Whatever you fed him last night, it's outstanding.
Thanks, Larko. I know this will shock you, Larko, but he's not exactly lapping this up and enjoying it at the moment. And you know that look. We all know the look.
So this one cost Garth Tander. That was a strike against his name, not surprisingly. And David Reynolds got 1 too. And Lowndes got pinged that time around as well. So 0.7 of a second is the difference between Davison and Tander. Whincup is now having a good look at Garth, who's done an extraordinarily good job today of keeping his elbows as wide as possible.
Car 4, Lee Holdsworth now, a bad sportsmanship flag for him. He's in 13th in the Irwin car at the moment, so he's had 5 strikes. Look at this. This is Whincup. We're riding with him in 3rd position at the moment. In behind Tander, it's Davison in the foreground. Here he is, race leader. Still 3/4 of a second up on these guys.
And we spoke to Jamie Whincup after the top 10 shootout. He doesn't look as though he's having that fight with car 1. So it's coming back to him. Tander gets another strike that time around.
We should update where they're at. Davison's got 1 against his name. Tander's got 2. Whincup's got 1. Reynolds has got 3. Lowndes has got 3. So David and Craig are going to have to be a little bit careful now in the remainder of this race. 59-lap race. Check this out. Hop, hop.
Bounce.
That's more than a hop, that one, isn't it?
The problem is, that's the fine line that you guys have been talking about all weekend. You can go through there and gain a 10th. You can also do some damage if you whack the thing harder.
Big time.
10 to go, mate. Can't trick it again. Keep pushing, mate. You're doing a great job.
And Mr. Concrete Wall's waiting on the right-hand side if you get it really wrong.
He's got a bad attitude. So car number 22, James Courtney. Every time the cars have gone by in the recent past, there's been somebody out there sounding a bit raw, and I believe it's Courtney. They think it's a broken exhaust or a broken header on this car. It's a brand new car, the last of type for the Holden Racing team in this current generation of car, because next year it's going to be a new V8 supercar architecturally. The cars will look pretty similar from the outside, but everything's changed underneath, and so this is the last one that the Holden Racing team will build before they focus on the new cars. Well, that was a rev limiter in the background then, but when you do hear it, you couldn't quite pick it up there. It sounds a bit like an old tractor when they go past down the front straight.
Sounds like our mate here trying to talk to us today. Foghorn Leghorn.
Right rear corner of the trading post car, and we're going to stay with it, so we'll leave Will up in the box on the left there. And in the right-hand corner here, just check out the amount of load, the thumping that the rear suspension gets, and just also take note of the tyre, the distortion of the tyre wall, which you can see clearly there now, and also the margin between the tread face on the road and the rim of the wheel, because basically the whole thing disappears when it hits the curb, and you can't believe the tyre can take that punishment. Little bits of rubber debris also on the rear bumper stay. Those marbles build up on the outside of the race line. And you watch here, these bumps over turn 3. Whack, 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 and watch for the distortion. Look at it. Can't believe that the tyre can cope with that. And then watch the next one. Here comes the money shot up into the chicane, turn 4. Unloads at the rear, then bang, 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 smash, and you could just, if you freeze frame that at just the right moment, the tyre's completely crushed against the rim. Shane van Gisbergen, 23rd at the moment. Tough run for him so far. Started on the front road, got tangled up in all the aggravation at the first corner. And then ultimately, and we spoke to Ross Stone about this, had a problem with the splitter on the front of the car and had to come in and deal with that. And that all happened simultaneously with too many curb hops right here at 4. And then once that happened, he's ended up way off the money here. He's a lap behind the race leaders. What a shame for the bloke who won the race here last year. That's cost him big time. But he's got the pace, and when he puts it together, he'll be a threat. So let's see what happens for him in qualifying in the race tomorrow.
Yeah, let's say thanks to Ross Stone, who's given us an access all areas pass today. Quick summary today, Ross.
Yeah, tough day, you know, sometimes it's like that. So we'll see how good we are, all of us as a group, as a team, and come back tomorrow and see what we got.
All right, mate. Thanks for your insight today. Best of luck tomorrow.
Okay, cheers.
Ross Stone there, letting us inside the Stone Brothers Racing on what has been a really tough day.
Ross is one of the quietest guys, the quietest demeanours that you'd meet in the pit lane. We've given him a microphone and a camera, and he's lit up down there. At one stage, he started to do the commentary, and I thought we were all out of a gig.
It's remarkable to be able to peek inside the garage and go straight to the top, if you like. Ross and Jimmy, team owners, very proud Kiwis, big support base obviously here, done a lot for motorsport in this part of the world and of course in ours as well. And it's just a pity that their man, especially at the front, Shane van Gisbergen, got off to such a bad start and is now down in 23rd. Barrett's.
Matty, just down the Holden Racing team bunker, and Mike Henry's here keeping a close eye on James Courtney's car. Mike, what's the problem with James's car?
Done a header, mate. just an exhaust problem, so we're okay.
Push on?
Yeah, we've had a look and it's only minor, so we're happy to push on, which is cool, so which means it just sounds good.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, look at this. Check this out. David Reynolds coming in the front right's gone on that.
It's damage. It's actually, look at that, it's broken the steering, so he's whacked something. Day done for David Reynolds. What a shame. Great promise. In the end, no delivery.
Pull up under the boom. We'll get the front right off, have a look. We'll see if we can change the tyre and get back out. It looks pretty bad, though.
The question is why. It could have been just from bashing over the curb, because I can't see any bodywork damage. Don't think he's rubbed any walls. There might be more to the story. There is, obviously. That's turn 8, the last turn.
Yeah.
But at that stage, he must have already have made contact with something. Maybe he's brushed the wall, one of the apex walls somewhere.
On turn 7 or something.
You're kidding.
And that's game over.
Upright's broken, jump out.
Upright's gone on it. And you heard it there, you're kidding. So maybe got it there. It's gone by then.
It could actually be load related to the turn 4 chicane rather than wall contact. Not impossible to break an upright here on just with the pounding that we've been talking about the cars dealing with at that chicane, Larko.
Yeah, it's a good call, Neil. I'd say it would be something like that. I just look at the external of the wheel. It's made no contact on the wheel, so that would say it's a curb or something, and it's plucked. There's a little aluminium clevis down underneath there that bolts to the bottom of the upright that holds your steering arm. So, and it's just pulled it clean out. So you're probably on the money there, I'd say, mate.
Yeah, we're making the point that when you go through turn 4, even if you've got credits up your sleeve and you start whacking and whacking through that chicane, eventually you might end up breaking something. Maybe that's been the cause and the case for David Reynolds, who was just a heartbeat away from claiming his first ever V8 Supercar podium. But this race is not done yet. Will Davison's got a 1.7 second lead. Tander's got his hands full with Jamie Whincup, who's all over him in the closing stages.
One of the things that you've got to be super careful of is, and actually on that subject of super careful, Lowndes has gone 4 in terms of curb hops there in position 4. So he's got very few lives up his sleeve now, but the issue arises that Mark Larkin was talking about. If you arrive at the turn 4 chicane and you're a heartbeat longer on the brake pedal and you leave the car in its fully bumped, compressed state in the front, means that the shock absorber's got very little travel left. So as soon as it bottoms out, basically the load is exponential through the front of the car, and then the first weak thing in the queue can break. And if you do it on repeat cycle, then you're half a chance to end up. Now, I'm not suggesting that's absolutely the reason, but it could be the culprit.
Well, Neil, I've got Davey Reynolds down here with me, mate. We're just looking at the damage here, Davey. It's plucked the clevis off the upright. Chicane? Do you think chicane, maybe?
Yeah, well, I was going through the chicane and Whincup hit the tyres in front of me, and then it sort of just bounced into my road, and I just clobbered him, and that sort of set it off. I didn't clobber him that bad. It was just a little nick, and then, you know, the steering was really, really bad. It wouldn't go around left-handers that well, and then pop, you know, it fell off.
Quick tip from an old bloke. Put it behind you. Big day tomorrow, mate. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, thanks, man. The Bottle car's been awesome all weekend, so we'll keep it up. Cheers.
He's right. It has been awesome, and he's been in very good driving form, and so it wasn't the case of whacking the curbs, it was the tyre bundle being moved by Jamie in front of him. Whincup, that is.
He's a dry character, David, and as the boys have all been suggesting in the recent races, the result's not far away. There's still a few rough edges, but the pace is there. So this little battle is the focus now. Speaking of pace, Jamie Whincup's got it. It's the last corner, turn 8. And Whincup's looking for a good run. He's got one now. Tander knows it, so he covers. Garth just moves at half a car width to the right. Jamie's trying to just confuse him by moving left and right, but he's shadowing him big time into one.
He's been covering all day, Garth Tander. These two guys, 7 race wins on this circuit between them. Now on the inside, has a look at turn 2. He's going to go on with it. Whincup's going to go on with it. He'll use the curb. Can Tander get the switch up to turn 3? They're going to go side by side, and Tander will pop out ahead of him. But now Whincup fights back, gives him a rub, and gets second spot.
I'll tell you what, that was a great fight back. Great fight back then, Tander, to actually be in a position to at least fight for it at 3. Both of them doing a great job. And in the end, Whincup had more pace. I tell you, Jamie only just got it stopped at 2. He had it right on the rear brake and he had to diagonal to the inside. Here he is. This is the replay at 2. The back of it's stopped now. He turns it in early, uses the traffic island, and then Garth the crisscross, gets a great exit, gets up the inside, and they're side by side to 3. And then just a little bit there, you heard it. And that was enough to displace Tander in the end. Tander back to 3rd. And I think that you'll find that Whincup now's got the pace to keep going, but he's got 2.3 seconds to find to get to Wilder.
Russell Ingall, special mention, 10th position for the Super Cheap Auto car. Fabian Coulthard in 9th, Michael Caruso in 8th, and James Courtney in 7th. So there have been some good movers and shakers throughout this race. Some great battles at the front.
Well, certainly Owen, Courtney and Caruso. In fact, you can add Fabian Coulthard to that list, and Russell, as you just said. All those guys from 5 to 10, got to be pretty proud of that effort. There's a bit of trauma here for Caruso as well. There's a lot of damage on the front of that car, so it's going to be feeling pretty weird for Michael, and he's got himself in the 10 after a big fight today. Well done.
Started 18th. Puffs of smoke, but you mentioned it, he's one of those guys that just comes to this place and goes up a level. Rick Kelly's the same, Steve Owen's exactly the same. Fighters like Coulthard and Ingall, it's not surprising to see them in the top 10. It's Gary Rogers looking on. One of his cars that's already out of this race, Alex Premer into the wall. Great job from Michael Caruso.
The boys have been feeling it a bit at this point too. They've been in the car now for coming up to an hour and a half. Been very busy, very physical, hard work around here. It's not a hot day, but it's not a cold one either. And Tassie would have been relatively simple, but 200 Ks around here, street circuit. And for some people, they've been in full-blown, full-scale warfare from the minute the lights changed colour at the start of the race. There's been no rest at all. Race Control is also monitoring what they think is some oil loss from car 15, Jack Daniels Racing Rick Kelly. He's a long way behind Craig Lowndes at the moment. They're just monitoring. The gap is 2.5 seconds from this man, Will Davison, to Jamie Whincup. They're exiting turn 3. Casualties of war today. James Moffat got involved with Tony D'Alberto. Greg Murphy's had ongoing troubles with his car. Alex Premer ended up in the escape road area of turn 7 for Fujitsu Racing. Carl Reindler's car stopped mysteriously on the front straight. David Reynolds, we covered that off just a few moments ago. Mark Winterbottom had to tour the pit lane early. Shane Van Gisbergen's had a pretty rough run as well.
So the top 2 cars on track are the top 2 guys in the championship picture. Will Davison and Jamie Whincup. 2 tireless campaigners, 2 veteran sluggers of Tander and Lowndes are having a great battle for the 3rd spot on the podium. Surprisingly, Craig Lowndes has never won in New Zealand. Same for Will Davison. Their careers are obviously at much different stages, but what a year it's been so far for Will. Victory on Sunday at Adelaide. Victory on Saturday at Simmons Plains. And he's heading towards another one here in our 3rd event of the season. That's always a great shot. Around turn 3, big crowd down there. That's where all the action unfolds. And now he's just going to hold on to this 2.3 second lead from his good mate, Whincup.
It's remarkable that these two find themselves in a yin and yang position. Either one wins or one doesn't, and vice versa. It's amazing. And look at this, it's not over here because Lowndes has got big pressure on Tander. No pressure on Will, he's just got to coast it home. A remarkable performance for what will be win number 3 in 2012.
Started from 6th. Couldn't get that lap right in the top 10 shootout, but when it mattered, this man has delivered again. Ford Performance Racing are really hot right now. Will Davison wins here in Hamilton. Whincup 2nd.
Yeah, boys.
third. Lowndes in fourth. So Rick Kelly comes across in fifth. Then it's Steve Owen. Great effort, James Courtney. Same for Michael Caruso, Fabian Coulthard and Russell Ingall, all moving through the field to finish inside the top 10. And it's celebration time. For a man who hasn't been feeling too flash this weekend, a bit of the flu he's carried in here, but he's carried in some terrific form since the start of this season.
Great job, Will Davison. Frantic race, 2.5 seconds the gap in the final analysis. And a tremendous performance to pick off win number 3 this year and consolidate his championship lead. Too early to be worrying too much about that, but all the points are valuable. And I still find it remarkable that Will and his old friend Jamie are the ones that are trading blows at the top of town, and Whincups have really had to fight for it today. Not a bad recovery given the stall in the pit lane for him as well, and Lowndes pressed on with it. So here we are, unofficial confirmation of the results for you. Davison by just over 2.5 seconds from Whincup. Then Garth Tander, Craig Lowndes fought well to get back to the pointy end. Rick Kelly, great job in recovery also. Steve Owen, you can add to that. James Courtney, Michael Caruso, Fabian Coulthard, great job also. And Russell Ingall, position number 10, 26 seconds off the lead. Stevie Johnson, Jason Bright, Jono Webb, who had a pit lane drive-through penalty, Lee Holdsworth, Todd Kelly, Tony D'Alberto also had a pit lane drive-through penalty, as did Taz Douglas. And these are some of the guys that I spoke of before who you put in the bin as casualties of war of a difficult afternoon for various reasons. Big crowd here today, beautiful conditions, and they've witnessed a very, very good quality motor race.
It's funny, isn't it? It was messy at the start, down at turn 1, and then it settled into just a really high-quality race, as you mentioned, between these 3 guys, in particular at the top. Various stages, they fought each other along the way. Little mistake for Jamie in pit lane. Tell you what, Garth will know he's been in a race today. Every time he got in front, somebody was there to hunt him down, and
he wasn't entirely happy at the end either, and he was talking on the radio about having a look at it tonight, and we'll go and get him tomorrow, so we'll try and follow up on that, whatever the thing was that was niggling him. But for the moment, all the sunshine's on this man. Great job, Will Davison. Well done.
No signs of that leg problem caused by a back problem. He's gone the distance here, 200 kilometres. It's bruising. Up he goes. A race win at each event so far this season, and we've still got tomorrow to come at the Hamilton 400. You just wonder if Garth Tander's got just a slight problem that they know they can put a finger on and fix. That thing may well be a jet tomorrow.
Hey, Will Davison, congratulations. Your first win in Hamilton and the teams as well. That's great news.
It's unbelievable news. This year's, it's so early, but the form this weekend's been amazing. Shootout was terrible, but besides that, we've been on top every session, so it's just great to win here at Hamilton. The last time feels very special. These cars are just rockets, so yeah, it was a great start. I started 6th and somehow popped out 2nd at the end of the first lap. I was like, oh, that's made this thing easier.
Will, something's really clicked this year?
Oh, no, we're just working well together. We've got the car working well. We can still improve it for sure for tomorrow. It was a tight race with Jamie and Garth. We're all quick at different stages, so it's a tough old race round here. And on that last restart, I didn't know what they had for me, so it was great to hold on.
Right, how's the man flu?
Oh, that's cleared out. I sweated it out, I think, and so yeah, I'm feeling good. And tomorrow's another big day, but great haul of points, and more importantly, just great to stand on that top step.
Excellent, mate. Enjoy the celebrations. Well done, Will. Jamie Whincup in 2nd place, and boy, Jamie, your season just continues on, just hanging on to that championship, just keeping the wrestle going with Will.
Yeah, hey, fantastic conditions over here. It's the sun's out. It was quite hot actually inside the car, so yeah, massive crowd. We did the best we could. Give away a little too many at the start, and then of course I made a rookie error and stalled in the pit. So yeah, my mistake today.
A great little tussle with Garth on the way home.
Yeah, that was good. That was hard racing. Garth gave me room, so yeah, you know, that was good, solid stuff, and yeah, respect racing good guys.
Fantastic, mate. Great to watch. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
And GT, congratulations once again, back up on the podium and really enjoying being back here in Hamilton.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the day started well for us for pole position. We didn't quite have the race pace, but we made some pretty big changes with the car this weekend. It's responding nicely. We just got to tune her up a little bit over the race distance, but really enjoy being on the podium here. The passion for motorsport and especially Holden over here in New Zealand is fantastic. So thanks to the New Zealand crowd for having us, and hope we come back next year.
And GT, you're keeping the heat on Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we didn't quite have the speed right at the end of each of the stints, and that's when Will got through and then when Jamie got through. But I think we know what we need to do to make it better for tomorrow. So hopefully we have another strong qualifying start, and we can race through the field and hopefully be on the top step of the podium for the last Hamilton race.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Well done, GT.
Thanks, Brez. Hi, Scarlett. Hi, Leanne.
Okay, Danny, with James Courtney. Hey, James, we spoke at the Clipsal 500, mate, and you said you've never been happy to be 8th. Or it might have been Simmons. 7th, mate. I know that's not really you, but you should be happy with that.
Moving forward, at least it's not going the other way. Look, qualifying this morning was a bit of a shambles. We didn't get a second run on green tyres, which which cost us group position. But the car's a race car. We unlocked something pretty big. We had pretty drastic change in that race there, and the thing was half a jet. So we managed to carve through some guys, got some hops pretty early on, just as hard to see as you'd know when you're up behind cars to see where your markers are. So we had to probably consolidate a little bit towards the end of the race. We had a header break as well, I think it was. So we had a tyre to laminate. So to come home with all that stuff going wrong and where we qualified in 7th, it's I'm pretty happy with that and work on that from tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be good tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But tell me about the new Commodore, mate. It's a lot of people ask, when you have a new car. I mean, personally, I'd never buy a new Commodore, mate. I'd buy a Falcon. But how's it different? Is it a different car? I mean, is the construction different? Are the bits that are bolted to it different? What's different about it?
Look, as a shell, it's probably exactly the same. It's just it hasn't, you get a bit of metal, you bend it, you straighten it again, it's going to be weak in that point. So it's just, just a fresh car. Everything's nice and tight. It's nice and new, and it's just, we know exactly where it is. It hasn't had any accidents, and, she's good to go. But it's pretty special for me to be given the last HRT Commodore of this generation.
Might be the last car full stop.
Exactly. So it's pretty cool. We would have liked a bit better result out of it today, but we'll work overnight, and hopefully we can get a bit further up.
Seriously, mate, from a lot of people, it's really nice to see you edging your way back up the front. You'll be there.
I feel like a rookie coming back from retirement, so we'll see how we go, guys. Cheers.
Back out of retirement, isn't that funny? So Will Davison keeps that lead over Jamie Whincup. Nothing has changed there. Mark Winterbottom wasn't a very good day for him. Could have been so much better. That's how the top 10 stand in the championship. 150 points for the winner and 150 points up for grabs again tomorrow. So let's get to the podium for our race winners.
Race 5 of the year, the 2012 ITM 400 Hamilton. Would you please congratulate our winning driver for Ford Performance Racing, Will Davison. In second place for Team Vodafone, Jamie Whincup. In third place for the Toll Holden Racing team, Garth Tander. And representing the winning team from Ford Performance Racing, Steve Ryan. To make the presentation, presenting the third place trophy, Mr. Sean Murray, the General Manager, Events and Economic Development, Hamilton City Council. Making the presentation of second place, Mr. Tony Puppian, the Sales Director, Beam Global, New Zealand. Making the presentation to our winning team is Mr. Paul Taylor, the General Manager, Marketing and Operations for our major sponsor, ITM. And presenting the first place trophy, the Chief Executive Officer of ITM, Gordon Buswell. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 ITM 400 Hamilton Race 5 winners.
Hour and a half of racing, and great quality racing it was too. So Will Davison grabs the 150 points and extends that championship lead. His old mate Jamie Whincup in there with him.